Well, rotate device. I guess I'm having a hard time with streaming today. Anyway, welcome to SV Just Dreaming, the old-fashioned way, I guess. I don't know why I can't rotate this phone like this. It doesn't want me to do that. Okay, let's see. Where do we begin telling you guys about the story of our sales here? A few questions before we get to where we're at that I've received from some people. If you followed us on Vessel Finder Free, as we were sailing from Fort Pierce to St. Augustine, if you followed us in our track, sailboats do not go in a straight line. As a rule of thumb, they kind of tack back and forth, either with the wind or against the wind. But if you're following alongside a shoreline, just say like the state of Florida, we could have just went way out and then come way back in for St. Augustine, and that would have worked. But we kind of wanted to go like this. At one point, we thought we were going to pull into Cape Canaveral. It was late at night, and we had a radar reflector that was in a bad position, and whenever I would do a downwind sail with the mainsail as far out as it could get, and then the jib sail the other direction, and the mainsail was rubbing on that radar reflector, and I couldn't get it down off the mast. So we were going to pull into Cape Canaveral and try to get that thing down so it wouldn't wear a hole through our sail. But it was really restricting what I could do with the sails. So what we ended up doing was just waiting. We got within cell phone, and we left without our Iridium pilot working on purpose. We thought it was missing parts. Actually, en route, we found the parts that we thought were missing. So we've been in contact with the company, and hopefully next week we'll have that up and running. But when you don't have that thing up and running, you're more than 5-6 miles offshore, you lose all connection with the rest of the world. There's just nothing. I can get some marine radio weather, and maybe some radio stations to listen to for news and stuff, but as far as detailed weather maps, whatever, I just don't have anything to work with if that thing's not working. So we didn't want to get too far offshore, and without that thing, because we didn't know if there's any cold fronts coming or weather fronts, and so we wanted to be able to duck in. Anyway, we got within cell phone range of the coast and Cape Canaveral, and we were going to anchor down and sleep for a little bit because we had been up for a long time, and over 24 hours, and in the Cape Canaveral Cove right there, if you anchor down, it's like a $500 fine. They want you to go through the locks and enter the ICW, and we said, oh, the heck with that, we'll just keep going north. And so we went back out to sea and kept going north. We had almost no wind. I mean, most of the trip we had 2-3 knot wind, 4 knot, I mean, just basically a breeze. Our best bet was to get out in the Gulf Stream and let the Gulf Stream just kind of carry us north, which is what we did. That was very relaxing, and went out and did a lot of swimming, and just let the boat pull you along, and the water was clear. And I don't know how to follow y'all. Jeremy, are you talking about the what is Vessel Finder Free? It's an app you can put on your phone, and then you just search for Just Dreaming. And when we're offshore, or even when we're right here, it'll show you where we're at. So anyway, so we headed north. It was a beautiful sail. I mean, we just the next day, after the Cape Canaveral thing, I was able to get the radar reflector. It's a metal thing. I got it down off the mast when I could see what I was doing during the day, and so then we were good to go as far as sailing north and running wing on wing with the wind, because we had a direct south wind. So we came north. Everything went really well. It was about 3 in the morning. We were coming into St. Augustine so we could get the Iridium pilot up and running. We have to get there's just a lot to it. We got to get the service started, and I have to finish wiring it and all that stuff. And so we're coming in to get that done. Well, on our way in, I got a little confused at 3 o'clock in the morning with the channel markers, and the starboard side of the boat ran into about 1 foot of water. Not even, probably about 6 to 8 inches of water. Well, anyway, the starboard engine sucked something up into the intake, and it overheated and shut down as we were coming in. So that was an issue. Let's see here. I was hoping to have this cell phone holder make things a little easier. I haven't had any time to I haven't even looked at these fishing rods up here. I have had no time, man. I mean, I'm just trying to keep this boat floating and keep it running. It's, yeah, I have had no time to do any fishing, or even, it's just nothing. It's all work at this point. You know, even out on the ocean, I was working. That's it. We've had over a year of work on this boat, and it's nowhere near done yet. So what can I tell you? But as we came in, that engine overheated, so I thought, well, there you go. I blew up an engine. That's great. Let's see here. The generator ran. Yeah, it does. The generator ran out of fuel while we were offshore, and it sucked a bunch of garbage out of the old generator tank, the old, just off the bottom of the tank, up in it. And so that took probably 2 or 3 days to get all that garbage cleaned out so we could have a generator back again. Let's see. Then the next morning at 3 a.m. We dropped the anchor, and we let loose the spindle hook on the windlass. The windlass is the thing that pulls the anchor chain out of the water. So we let that thing loose, and all of the chain from the anchor, it was tied. The end was tied to the boat, but all the chain from the anchor just flew off the boat and just landed in a big pile on the bottom. And I was too tired to do anything with it, so I had my Vespar GPS device there, and it tracks our anchor, and if we're drifting or whatever. And so I just said, oh, the heck with it. So we just went to sleep, and I literally slept with that thing on my chest, just so I could know, it would set off an alarm if we started drifting badly into other boats or anything like that. So the next morning, Gail got up, turned on the inverter to make coffee, and it caught fire. Yeah. That's a Ames inverter. It's the industrial grade, pure sine wave, $700 inverter, not a cheap inverter. Not a Harbor Freight inverter. This thing is supposedly the best, and it caught fire. The fire was mostly contained inside the inverter box, and so no damage to the boat, luckily, but it does make me nervous. So what we did was contacted Ames and from the inverter store, and we had to send that one back. Probably took us a couple days to get the inverter pulled, get the new one, and get it to a UPS store and get it sent off. And now they're going to look at it. If it's truly warranty, then they'll send us out a new inverter. So in the meantime, we're stuck here in St. Augustine, which is a beautiful place. The bad thing about not having my inverter is that means I don't have a computer. I have no way to edit videos, and I can't use my new Fusion 360 camera. I have just nothing to work with there. So anyway, partial list of the things I've got to do before we can get sailing again is I've got to move the propane tank on the grill. I've got to install, well, let's see. I've got to fix the traveler bolts. The traveler on the sail back here has a bolt that's broken. I think I found the leak in the coolant system on the starboard engine, and I did get it back up and running, so we'll see on that. We've got to put in, I've got to finish rewiring the iridium and get that done. We've got a solar panel that has a warranty issue. I've got to get that fixed. I've got a fuel leak on the port engine when the engine's running, so right now I've got all the fuel on the port engine pulled out. We've had some big storms, and it would have been nice to have that engine running to hold us in place, but anyway, and I've got to rewire the Nick said hello. Hey, Nick. And I've got to rewire the iridium pilot, or no, I've got to rewire the water heater. That's what it is, rewire the water heater. So that's our captain's log for today. We are in a beautiful spot for the 4th of July fireworks. They're going to be held less than a quarter mile from us. They're going to put a barge right here in the middle of the channel, and so we're looking forward to that. If you've ever been to St. Augustine, it's a spectacular city. It's a real tourist trap. Luckily, we have our bikes. We can get out. We can get over to West Marine. We can get over to Home Depot. We can get to the places we need to get to. We don't have to buy stuff at the local rip-off places here for all the tourists. And yeah, what else was I gonna say? I guess that's pretty much it. Anybody got any questions I can answer? But yeah, I mean, for Craig and some of the other people out there, sailboats don't sail in a straight line, and they only sail fast when you have good wind. And if you don't have any wind, then guess what? You don't get to go anywhere. I mean, that's the way it is. That's part of sailing. So you always hope for a 10 to 12 knot wind. That's nice. 15 knots, even better. But when you're down around 2, 3, 4 knots for most of the day, guess what? You're not going very far, very fast. So the current did a good job for us, the Gulf Stream current. So, all right, with that, I will say goodbye and hope you all have a great 4th of July. And hopefully next week I'll have a computer to work with.